Have you ever felt the weight of the world on your shoulders, only to realize that sharing your burdens with others doesn't always lighten the load? We live in a world where vulnerability is often celebrated, where the idea of sharing our struggles is encouraged as a way to connect, seek support, and find solutions. But what if, in some cases, sharing your problems can actually make things harder? What if the very act of seeking external validation or pouring out your emotions to others drains you instead of uplifting you? Today, I want to talk about the power of choosing silence over constant sharing, the strength and self-reliance, and the importance of protecting your emotional energy. It's easy to assume that talking about our problems is the key to solving them, but in many instances, the act of sharing too much too soon can leave us vulnerable, emotionally exhausted, or misunderstood. In a world where everyone seems eager to offer advice or weigh in on your life, sometimes the best thing you can do is choose to keep certain things to yourself, hold your ground, and learn to navigate through life's challenges on your own terms. This journey of self-discovery is one where silence can be just as powerful as speech. Let's explore why. Self-reliance is a fundamental aspect of personal growth and resilience. It's the inner belief that, regardless of the circumstances, you have the strength and ability to overcome challenges on your own. In a world where external validation and support are often sought after, self-reliance offers a deep sense of empowerment, teaching us that the tools for facing life's difficulties are often already within us. When faced with adversity, it's easy to lean on others for support, advice, or even sympathy. However, while it's important to have a support system, relying too heavily on others for emotional validation or solutions can prevent us from developing the skills and mindset needed to handle life's challenges independently. By becoming self-reliant, you're not only learning how to solve problems on your own, but also cultivating a sense of inner strength and resilience that can carry you through any difficult situation. Self-reliance doesn't mean isolating yourself from the world or rejecting help when it's genuinely needed. It means understanding that you have the capability to figure things out, even if the solutions are not immediately clear. It means taking responsibility for your own well-being and learning how to process and address difficulties without waiting for someone else to fix them for you. It's about developing a mindset that says, I can handle this, rather than relying on others to do the emotional heavy lifting for you. One of the key aspects of self-reliance is taking ownership of your emotions and reactions. In difficult moments, it's natural to feel overwhelmed or even helpless. However, relying on others to lift you out of those emotions can lead to a cycle where you depend on external forces to regulate your state of mind. By taking responsibility for how you respond to challenges, you give yourself the power to navigate through difficult times with more control and confidence. You begin to understand that while you can't always control what happens to you, you can control how you react to it. Self-reliance encourages problem solving. When you don't immediately turn to others for answers or reassurance, you're forced to tap into your creativity and resourcefulness. It's in those moments of solitude, when you're left to figure things out on your own, that you learn to think critically and trust your own judgment. These moments of decision-making and reflection can be the catalyst for personal growth as you start to see yourself as capable of tackling even the most daunting of challenges. At the same time, self-reliance fosters a sense of inner peace. When you trust in your ability to handle life's challenges without constantly seeking external help, you free yourself from the anxiety of needing approval or guidance. You build a deeper sense of self-trust, which in turn leads to greater emotional stability and confidence in your own decisions. This quiet confidence becomes a source of strength, not just in times of crisis, but in the everyday moments that shape your life. Self-reliance is about recognizing your potential and believing that you can navigate life's complexities on your own terms. It's about embracing the journey with all its ups and downs, knowing that you are capable of finding your way forward. Vulnerability is often seen as a double-edged sword. On one hand, it's a means of connecting with others on a deep human level. On the other, it can leave us exposed to judgment, misunderstanding, or even exploitation. In the context of sharing our problems with others, vulnerability becomes an important consideration because while it can foster genuine connection and empathy, it also carries the risk of emotional harm if not approached with caution. When you share your struggles with someone, you are offering a piece of yourself, showing a side of you that may not be easily visible to the world. This act of revealing your inner self can help create a sense of closeness, building trust between individuals. It allows the person you're sharing with to understand your emotions and experiences, which can, in turn, lead to meaningful support and compassion. In this way, vulnerability can be a powerful tool for emotional connection, making you feel seen, understood, and less isolated. While vulnerability has its strengths, it's important to consider when, where, and with whom you choose to share your problem. Not everyone in your life will have the capacity to truly understand or respond in a supportive way. Some may offer advice, but it may be unsolicited or uninformed. Others may dismiss your feelings, making you feel even more alienated. Vulnerability, when shared in the wrong environment or with the wrong people, can feel like a betrayal of trust, leaving you feeling exposed and misunderstood. Being vulnerable too frequently or with too many people can lead to, it's not just about what you share, but also about how much you give away. When you constantly reveal your innermost struggles, you may inadvertently put yourself in a position where you're seeking external validation or sympathy to make you feel better. This can become a cycle where the only way you feel heard or validated is by opening up to others, which can quickly drain your emotional energy. At a certain point, vulnerability, if not carefully managed, can begin to feel more like a burden than a means of connection. Vulnerability can sometimes lead to overexposure. In today's world where social media and public sharing are rampant, there's a temptation to broadcast personal struggles for others to see. The line between genuine self-expression and oversharing can blur quickly, and once something is shared publicly, it becomes harder to take back. This can lead to judgment or unwanted opinions from people who may not fully understand the context of your situation. The risk of misinterpretation or feeling vulnerable in a negative way becomes higher when you don't have control over who is privy to your inner world. In relationships, the decision to be vulnerable should be guided by trust and respect. It's essential to assess whether the person you are sharing with has the emotional maturity and compassion to handle your feelings appropriately. Sometimes it's not about completely shielding yourself from others, but about being selective in your vulnerability, choosing the right moments and people who can truly provide the understanding and support you need without taking advantage of your openness. While vulnerability is a powerful force that can deepen connections and foster empathy, it requires discernment. It's not about withholding your emotions or pretending that everything is fine, but rather about understanding the balance between being open and maintaining a sense of emotional safety. There's strength in knowing when to share and when to keep certain things to yourself. Protecting your energy is a crucial part of maintaining emotional and mental well-being, especially when dealing with personal struggles. Every interaction, every exchange, whether with friends, family, or even strangers, requires a certain amount of energy. When you're facing difficult situations, the emotional toll of sharing your problems or engaging with others can deplete your reserves. This is why being mindful of where and how you invest your emotional energy becomes vital. When you're constantly sharing your struggles, whether it's in an attempt to get validation or to seek help, it can be emotionally draining. Each time you open up, you are not only revealing vulnerable parts of yourself, but also inviting others' energy and opinions into your emotional space. While this can be helpful in some situations, if not carefully managed, it can lead to an imbalance where you feel drained or even overwhelmed by the responses you receive. Sometimes people don't offer the kind of support you need, and instead they may project their own opinions, judgments, or unsolicited advice onto you. This adds to your mental burden, leaving you feeling emotionally exhausted rather than empowered or understood. The act of sharing your problems, when done without discernment, can deplete your reserves, particularly if the individuals you're sharing with aren't equipped to offer meaningful or supportive feedback. When the response you receive doesn't meet your emotional needs, it can lead to frustration and a sense of isolation. Over time, this continuous draining of energy may begin to feel like an unending cycle, leaving you in a perpetual state of emotional fatigue. This is why it's essential to protect your energy, choosing wisely when, where, and with whom you share your struggles. Protecting your energy also involves setting boundaries. It's not about completely closing yourself off from others, but rather creating limits around what you're willing to share and with whom. These boundaries allow you to preserve your emotional resources and ensure that you don't give away more than you can afford to lose. If you share too much, too often, or with the wrong people, it can feel like you're constantly giving without receiving anything in return, leaving you feeling drained and unsupported. Setting boundaries ensures that you have the space to recharge and tend to your own emotional needs before reaching out to others. Protecting your energy means understanding the importance of time and space for yourself. When you're going through a tough time, spending time alone can help you reconnect with your inner self, reflect, and regain your strength. Instead of constantly seeking external validation or sympathy, you allow yourself the opportunity to process your feelings without the influence of others' emotions or opinions. This time for self-reflection helps you regain clarity, make decisions with a clearer mind, and strengthen your emotional resilience. Not sharing every problem with others also protects you from negative influences. Some people, whether intentionally or unintentionally, may not have the capacity to be a positive or neutral presence in your life. When you're vulnerable with someone who lacks emotional maturity or empathy, it can result in you feeling worse than before you shared. Their reactions can add additional stress to your situation, leading you to feel more overwhelmed. Protecting your energy means knowing when to limit interactions with individuals who are not equipped to support you positively. Protecting your energy is about recognizing that you need to be in control of your emotional and mental well-being. It's about giving yourself permission to prioritize your peace and ensuring that your emotional reserves aren't constantly drained by the demands or reactions of others. It's an act of self-care that allows you to heal, grow, and navigate life's challenges with resilience and clarity. Maintaining privacy is an often overlooked aspect of personal well-being. In a world where people are encouraged to share everything from their achievements to their struggles, there's a growing need to recognize the value of keeping certain aspects of our lives private. Not everything about our personal experiences needs to be shared or made public. There's wisdom in protecting the intimate details of your life, as it helps to preserve your emotional integrity, maintain a sense of control, and prevent unnecessary vulnerability. Privacy creates space for you to process your experiences without the external influence of others. When you keep certain things private, you give yourself the time and mental space to reflect on them rather than feeling pressured to explain, justify, or seek approval. This reflective space can be vital for emotional processing, as it allows you to come to your own conclusions about situations without being swayed by others' opinions or judgments. When you share too much too soon, it can prevent you from fully understanding your own emotions, because you're often focused on how others will perceive your situation instead of just feeling through it yourself. Privacy helps to safeguard your sense of autonomy. When you share your problems, there's an inherent risk of losing control over how your story is told. Others may interpret your struggles differently or offer advice that doesn't align with your needs. By keeping certain aspects of your life private, you retain control over your narrative. No one else can define your experience or make assumptions about your situation if they don't have all the details. This sense of control can be empowering, as it ensures that your personal story is shared only on your terms, rather than being influenced by the opinions or projections of others. Privacy also protects you from the judgment that can come with sharing your problems. People often have preconceived notions, biases, or personal experiences that shape how they respond to others' struggles. When you make yourself vulnerable to judgment by sharing your challenges, you risk receiving feedback that can be hurtful, dismissive, or simply unhelpful. Some people may trivialize your problems or even gossip about them, which can leave you feeling exposed, misunderstood, or even betrayed By keeping certain aspects of your life private, you prevent this from happening, ensuring that your emotional vulnerability isn't used against you. Another important aspect of privacy is that it allows you to maintain healthier relationships. When you constantly share every aspect of your life, especially your problems, it can create an imbalance in your relationships. Some people may feel overwhelmed by the constant emotional weight, while others may start to view you solely through the lens of your struggles. This can lead to relationships that are built on pity or dependency rather than genuine connection. Keeping certain things private fosters more balanced, reciprocal relationships, where both parties can engage in meaningful, positive ways, free from the burden of one person always being the emotional focal point. Lastly, privacy gives you the opportunity to heal at your own pace. Not every problem needs to be shared for it to be resolved. Sometimes the most healing moments happen in solitude, where you can reflect, regroup, and rebuild your strength. By keeping your struggles private, you allow yourself the space to heal without feeling the need to explain your pain to others. You don't owe anyone an explanation for how you're feeling, and sometimes the best thing you can do for your well-being is to keep things to yourself until you're ready to share them when it's right for you. Protecting your privacy isn't about shutting people out or avoiding vulnerability altogether. It's about understanding the importance of keeping some aspects of your life, your emotions, and your experiences sacred. By doing so, you preserve your sense of self, protect your emotional energy, and maintain control over how much you choose to share with the world. Growth through adversity is one of life's most powerful lessons. When we face difficult circumstances, it can feel as if the world is pushing against us, but in reality, these challenges often serve as the catalyst for the most profound personal development. The tough moments, the ones that test our strength, patience, and resilience, offer us opportunities to learn more about who we are and what we're truly capable of. It's not the easy times that shape us. It's the moments when we're pushed beyond our limits, forced to confront our weaknesses, and face fears that we would rather avoid. Adversity has a way of stripping away the distractions and the superficial layers of life. When everything is going well, it's easy to coast along, unaware of our deeper desires, values, or the areas of our lives that need attention. But when life throws us off course, it forces us to stop and reflect. We are no longer able to simply carry on with the same routines. We must adjust, rethink, and grow. This process of reevaluation allows us to confront difficult truths, make meaningful changes, and discover strengths we didn't even know we had. It's often in these moments that we realize our resilience, how capable we are of enduring, adapting, and overcoming. Facing adversity also provides the chance to develop emotional and mental toughness. It's during difficult times that we learn how to cope with uncertainty, manage our emotions, and persevere despite setbacks. These experiences teach us how to regulate our emotional responses, making us less likely to be thrown off course by future challenges. With each obstacle we face, we become more adept at handling stress, anxiety, and disappointment, which ultimately makes us stronger and more resilient in the face of future difficulties. This emotional strength builds over time as we continue to face and navigate life's inevitable challenges. Adversity teaches us valuable life skills such as patience, persistence, and problem solving. When things go wrong, we must figure out how to adjust and move forward. We develop a greater understanding of how to break problems down into manageable steps, how to approach obstacles with a level head, and how to find solutions even when the answers aren't immediately obvious. These skills not only serve us in future challenges, but also help us in everyday life, making us more capable and resourceful individuals. Another aspect of growth through adversity is that it cultivates a deeper sense of empathy and understanding for others. When we go through hardship ourselves, we gain insight into what others might be experiencing when they face similar struggles. Our ability to empathize with others' pain, frustrations, and challenges increases because we have walked through those difficult times ourselves. This connection to others' experiences fosters kindness, compassion, and a desire to help those who are also going through tough times. In this way, adversity can lead to a more compassionate and caring perspective on the world. Lastly, overcoming adversity often shifts our priorities, helping us to focus on what truly matters. In the face of difficulty, the superficial concerns of everyday life often fade into the background. We begin to realize what is most important to us, whether it's relationships, personal growth, health, or finding inner peace. Through the process of struggling and overcoming, we learn to let go of distractions and focus our energy on what truly brings fulfillment and meaning to our lives. Growth through adversity is not easy, nor is it always immediate. It requires time, patience, and sometimes a great deal of suffering. But it is through these difficult experiences that we emerge stronger, wiser, and more capable of handling whatever life throws our way. Instead of viewing challenges as setbacks, we begin to see them as opportunities for growth, essential moments that shape us into the people we are meant to become. Selective sharing is a concept that revolves around the idea of being mindful and intentional about who you open up to and how much you reveal about your life, especially when it comes to your struggles. Not everyone in your life is equipped to understand or support you in the way you need, and this is where the importance of choosing the right people to confide in comes into play. When we share too much with people who are not capable of handling or empathizing with our situations, we may not only leave ourselves vulnerable, but also face unnecessary disappointment or hurt. The process of selective sharing begins with understanding your emotional needs. Sometimes you need advice, sometimes comfort, and other times just someone to listen without judgment. Not everyone in your life will be able to fulfill these needs, and that's perfectly okay. The key is to recognize who in your circle has the emotional maturity, understanding, and capacity to provide the type of support you're seeking. You wouldn't turn to someone for comfort if they tend to give harsh opinions or unsolicited advice, just as you wouldn't seek guidance from someone who lacks the experience to offer meaningful advice. One of the most significant benefits of selective sharing is that it prevents emotional depletion. If you constantly share your struggles with anyone and everyone, you risk overburdening yourself and creating an imbalance in your relationships. Some people might not be able to handle your emotional weight, and this can create tension or awkwardness in relationships. By carefully selecting who you confide in, you can maintain healthier, more balanced interactions. It allows you to have deeper, more meaningful connections with those who truly understand and support you without constantly leaning on them for emotional release. Selective sharing also protects you from the negative influence that some people may have over your emotions. When you share with people who don't have your best interests at heart or who are quick to judge, you might end up feeling worse, not better. They may give you advice that feels dismissive or even unhelpful, which can exacerbate your feelings of frustration or confusion. In contrast, confiding in someone who listens with empathy and responds with kindness helps you feel validated and understood, leading to a sense of relief and emotional growth. When you choose to share selectively, you also retain some control over how much of your life others know. There's a certain power in keeping aspects of your life private, particularly the more sensitive ones. You can maintain a sense of autonomy and not feel the need to explain yourself constantly. This sense of control ensures that you're not vulnerable to every person who comes into your life or to everyone's opinions. It's about being the author of your own narrative, not letting others dictate or control how your story is perceived. Additionally, selective sharing helps you build trust and stronger relationships. When you confide in someone who has earned your trust, you're creating a bond based on mutual respect and understanding. They'll appreciate the confidence you've placed in them, and as a result, the relationship will often become more authentic and meaningful. Trust is not something to be freely given to everyone. It's earned over time, and by sharing with people who have shown that they are trustworthy, you reinforce these bonds. As a result, your relationships become more genuine, and the emotional support you receive is more enriching. Selective sharing is about recognizing that not everyone needs to know everything about you, and that emotional vulnerability is best practiced with people who have the capacity to handle it. By choosing your confidants wisely, you protect your energy, maintain healthier relationships, and ensure that your emotional needs are met in the best way possible. It's a way of keeping your inner world safe and allowing the right people into your life to help you grow, heal, and thrive. Learning to navigate life's challenges with grace requires a deep understanding of ourselves and the boundaries we set with others. By embracing self-reliance, we realize that many of our answers and strengths lie within, and through vulnerability, we can connect with others in meaningful ways. Protecting our energy allows us to preserve our emotional well-being, while privacy gives us the space to grow without unnecessary interference. Growth through adversity teaches us resilience, and selective sharing ensures that we invest our energy and trust in relationships that nurture and support us. Life may not always be easy, but with these tools, we can face whatever comes our way with strength, clarity, and peace. Good luck on your journey, and remember, the strength to navigate your challenges is already within you. Thank you for listening, and may you find the wisdom and courage to move forward with confidence.